This episode of the Feelings Over Facts podcast is sponsored by our YouTube channel. Head over to youtube.com, find the Feelings Over Facts, a sports podcast YouTube channel, and give us a subscribe and a like. Thank you. Welcome in to the Feelings Over Facts podcast. I'm your host, Zach Simmons. Here my co-host, Daniel Jones, a.k.a. DJ. DJ, how are you feeling?
I'm here.
You have arrived. You are here.
It's been an emotional week for the boy. Losing some quality and some legends on their team.
Yes, a major trade has happened since
we will get to that
our last show. Well, we will certainly get to that. Definitely a source of sadness for a certain organization, and a source of happiness for another one. But we will get to that. But first, wanted to say thank you for tuning in to the Feelings Over Facts podcast once again. Go ahead and head over to YouTube and give us a subscribe. We are streaming there right now. We stream our podcast every week. Head over to Instagram and TikTok and give us a follow on there where you can see more content from the Feelings Over Facts podcast. But first, let's go ahead and get into what missed today's show. What missed the show today? Rangers versus Diamondbacks in the World Series. We haven't talked much baseball, and we won't continue to. Rangers versus Diamondbacks. Who you got, DJ? One word.
Rangers.
Who's winning? Rangers. All right. You heard it here first, folks. Brock,
Since I'm technically the baseball expert, since you don't give a crap about the sport.
This is true. Not a lot of baseball talk here. Maybe soon. But probably not since the season's about to end.
Exactly.
What missed the show next? Brock Purdy is in concussion protocol. So Sam Darnold is going to be getting his first start of the NFL season this weekend. And Sam Darnold has in his contract that if he plays 25% of the snaps in a game and they win, he gets $350,000. So pretty big incentive for old Sam Darnold to do good this weekend. And next, finally, what missed today's show, Anthony Davis scores 0 points in the first regular season game in the second half for the Los Angeles Lakers. One of the best players in the league comes out second half of the game in a close game, scores 0 points. Hopefully that does not continue for the Los Angeles Lakers. But anyways, that is what missed today's show. Let's get straight in to the big news from last week. As it has been reported and seen on social media, Kevin Byard, the all-pro safety for the Tennessee Titans, is being traded to the Philadelphia Eagles for a 5th and a 6th round pick, along with, remind me his name, DJ, the safety they got.
Terrell Edmunds
coming to the Titans for the all-pro safety, Kevin Byard. So,
and what it does do, it clears up about $14.1 million in cap space for next season, which now makes the Titans the highest available cap for next offseason. It's really the main reason why.
That's definitely a plus. So DJ, I wanted to ask you, as the resident Titans super fan on the podcast, what was your reaction whenever you heard this trade come through?
I mean, the last couple of weeks we've heard about, kind of restarting, starting to tear down some of the the vets, the guys have been here that have made our team what we are the last couple of years, and I definitely would say Kevin Byard is one of those players. Well, I mean, for me, it could have been any other team, but it had to be the Eagles, which we just are just giving
all of
them
the jokes online about the Titans being the farm system for the for the Eagles were pretty funny.
we just give the we're their minor league club. That's basically what we are right now. We're just helping. What is it? Sammy, what's his name? The GM for the Eagles, Howie Roseman. Thank you. We're just helping him keep his job security up. Basically, that's basically all we're doing. Like, we don't care about our GM. We just care about keeping the Eagles relevant and positive. Apparently, I love it for Kevin Byard because he's going to an immediate contender. And that guy deserves to go try and win try to win a Super Bowl. And the only chance he had was us being a massive underdog going into Arrowhead a couple years ago.
Yeah,
4 years ago now. So I hate to see him go. The NFL is a business. These are the facts, and it's gonna hurt a little bit seeing the mayor of Murfreesboro not playing in Tennessee anymore, especially right before we wear our Oilers throwbacks. That's why I'm wearing the Oilers hat again this week.
There you go.
It just, I understood it. I understand it from a business. He's a 30-year, and I see a lot of people saying, like, we didn't get enough for him. He's a 30-year-old safety with a huge cap hit, and he really hadn't done that much this year statistically. Now, is that all his fault? I can't really blame him because it's kind of hard for him to do anything when they're just attacking the outside corners, which I feel like all they're doing is just picking on either Trey Avery or Christian Fulton, depending on who's in the game at corner. But, it's hard to allocate that much money to a position like safety, and especially when you already paid Amani Hooker too. So paying two safeties a good amount of money, you had to, and you kind of see the writing on the wall whenever we asked him to take a pay cut. And then he said no, and then he ended up restructuring his deal anyway. I mean, he didn't, take a pay cut, just restructuring it to help out the team, kick the can down the field. But now he's going to be off our books and out of our life as Tennessee Titans fans, which makes us sad as Titans fans. I know a lot of people were upset by that because Byard is such a big institution in Tennessee, especially Middle Tennessee, where he played college at, then coming here straight after the draft and becoming an all-pro and being one of our leaders in that defense. So it's going to be a hole for sure. Now, that being said, there is a world where Kevin Byard's not here and we still turn the season around somehow. Now, that's definitely a possibility because the season's not over. I know we're not looking good. We're at 2-5. So, I mean, everybody's saying let's just tear it down, rebuild, let's lose every game. Or we're 2-4. Sorry. Forgot we had a bye week last week.
Yeah.
But, I mean, everybody's saying let's just lose every game and try and go get the best pick possible. That's not going to happen, especially under Vrabel. Vrabel is not a lose on purpose kind of coach, and I don't think he would stand for a rebuild or tanking. Rebuild's different than tanking. Rebuild is like, oh, hey, we're going to suck because we're not having the high assets. But
yeah,
when it comes to just tanking, he's not going to lose games on purpose.
Certainly not. He is not that type of coach. Does not have that type of mentality. It's always sad to see one of the more iconic players in your team's history get traded off. But like you said, it is a business, and they did get what I think is pretty good draft capital and a younger player in return for a 30-year-old player at a position that isn't extremely sought after in safety, although it is at times an important position. It is not one of the marquee positions that you can get a lot of draft capital for. So I think they got as much, I think, as they probably could. But like you said, it does kind of suck to see him go to the team that they sent AJ Brown to as well. So it is kind of like everyone's making jokes about them just sending all their good players to the Eagles. So that is kind of crazy. But I mean, you can't really deny it. The best, probably one of the best DBs that defensive backs that the Titans have ever had, and one of the best receivers that they've ever had, both in the last very short amount of seasons have both been traded to the Eagles. So that is unfortunate as Titan fans, but I think that they got better off in this deal than they did than the AJ Brown trade.
If AJ Brown stays a Titan, then he breaks every single receiving record in Titans history, and he actually is the best receiver in our franchise's history. You cannot change my mind on that. I mean, look what he's doing right now. He has more receiving yards than our entire receiving core does together. We don't help ourselves to not get trolled on Twitter, and it's rough for us, us two-tone blue, diehards like I am, that we try to stand up for our team, but then they keep doing stuff like trading AJ Brown, and then we go and get rid of Kevin Byard, which I don't. You knew he was going to go to a contender, and the Eagles are 100% a contender, so it makes sense, especially from that aspect. And if that's one of the teams who's calling and offered the best deal, and if this was the best deal, I mean, yeah, we got a 26-year-old safety. That's not. I wanted draft capital, and we did not have a lot before this trade. This will help a little bit, but we don't have a third round next year at the moment. So I mean, maybe we can get a third for somebody. Probably not anybody that we could trade to get that high of a pick, but. We'll see.
Yeah. We shall see indeed. So, speaking of the Titans, they're kind of like one of the biggest teams in the news this past week, actually. They have been reporting that their rookie draft pick in the second round, Will Levis, is going to be starting and going to be playing a majority of the game in this upcoming game this weekend against the Atlanta Falcons. So, DJ, I wanted to pose the question, and I think it's a pretty interesting one. How good does Will Levis need to do the rest of the season to show the fans, or to show Ran Carthon, I guess, who he really has to show, that he's the quarterback of their future and that they can start building around him?
Well, he needs to have some snaps. He needs some experience. And he needs to show that he can, take care of the football and run and get out of the huddle, run the offense. Really, for me, wins and losses. I mean, obviously, you want him to come out there and immediately start getting us dubs and being the reason why we get wins. It's just I don't know. You have to be realistic with some of these things. This is going to be his first action that we've actually seen him since the first preseason game, and he had some signs of good, but also some signs of bad. And, the whole stigma out of him coming out of high school or coming out of college, was his decision-making wasn't great. So The biggest thing for me is what's going to go, what can he show that he's developed between the ears, meaning his IQ for football. And, has he been really studying film and tape and getting the offense down? Can he get the verbiage right? All these important things that quarterbacks need to know and be able to do. Coming into the NFL, that they don't get the same stuff in the college ranks. So for me, wins obviously I want him to win. I just want to see that he doesn't look like an absolute bum. I just want you to come out and actually look like a legitimate quarterback, because I mean, let's be honest here. Ran Carthon, you trade up in the second round to go get him. And then you also tried to go get him in the first round. We tried to trade up with Kansas City to get him at 32 because we wanted that fifth-year option. That way we had an extra year with him. But KC was hosting the draft, so they wanted the draft in front of all their people, so they said no. That was their main reason. That came out after the draft. So Ran Carthon has a lot of faith in him that he can be their starting quarterback in the future. But now he's just got to go out there and show it. Now, they say that Will Levis is – you said that Will Levis is going to be the start. Vrabel has came out and said – that it's going to be both him and Malik Willis playing at the same time. I'm interested to see how that's going to go.
Yeah, he did say Levis would be the starter, though.
He hadn't said who's starting.
Oh no!
No.
I thought it came out that he said what
Levis Taylor Lewan came out and said that he's going to be the starter. Taylor Lewan's chatting.
Good enough source for me.
He has inside sources, yes. Don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I'm still waiting until it happens. We're not going to. Vrabel's going to keep it close to the vest. You know how Vrabel is. He's not going to tell you anything. All he's going to do is just roast a journalist for having his hands up in a weird way, and that's all we got from this press conference. whenever they were talking about, Levis and Willis. But I mean, I would want to see Levis more than Willis because of the fact that we haven't seen anything from him. And then Willis got a chance to play last game 2 weeks ago now against the Ravens in London, and he looked like he didn't look like he really progressed that much.
Did not look well.
So
did not look good.
And there's some other things that we're changing this week too. Nicholas Petit Ferrer is our new left tackle. They came out and said that Andre Dillard's the new swing tackle, so he already got benched. So our team's going to be looking a lot different this next week. As a perspective from the Titans fan, it's kind of exciting because it's like, okay, let's see what's something new. Let's see, let's see what we got here. Yeah. At the same time, it's kind of scary because not too long ago we were back-to-back AFC South Division champs. We were the number 1 seed. So it's kind of a fall from grace. I feel like, as a Titans fan, we always feel like we're always kind of neglected or looked down upon by the whole NFL, area, national media and everything. And then anytime we actually have a spotlight, we don't show up. So I get it. Like, it's not all the national media's fault. Yeah. But at the same time, as anybody who's a ride and die fan, you want your team to be praised, not insulted, and it hasn't been going that way recently. So, and with everything with Derrick Henry, the rumors about him maybe getting traded, that would be huge. Like, Derrick Henry is one of my favorite football players of all time. I'm an Alabama fan. I'm a Titans fan. He's been on my teams since high school. Since he got out of high school. So, like, I've been supporting that dude for forever. So if he goes to the Ravens, like one of our hated, like, I can't stand the Ravens. So if he goes to the Ravens, I'd be sad. I'd be very sad.
They are the team that it seems like in the news are most linked with them. So it seems like it is a possibility. So
what do you think? Could happen as a non-biased fan, just watching the Titans game? Because I'm sure you might tune in to watch to see what happened, what Levis does, and he's there's people saying he was a number 1 pick or first round pick. This last offseason. So I'm sure you would check out the Titans to see what do you need to see from Levis to, in your eyes, not as a Titans fan, to be like, okay, yeah, they can rely on this guy next year and then maybe he'll have another year of development.
Yeah, for sure. So my take on this is very clear. And I think if Will Levis can go in there and do well enough, and obviously not win all of the games that he's playing in, but if he can win enough games where he keeps the Titans out of being in the top 10, top 12 picks to get an elite quarterback in the first round, I think that you say he's done well enough to remain the starter and to start building around him. If he can win enough games and be successful, and especially in his rookie year, to not give the Titans a draft position where they can actually take someone to be a successor, I think that is good enough in my eyes to say this guy is who we want to go forward with. We think that we can build a roster around him that can be a true Super Bowl contender. And I think that is what any NFL fan wants for their team, is to have a quarterback that they can say, if we support him enough, we feel like we can make it all the way. And I don't think that the Titans are there anymore with Tannehill. So,
I mean, he really hasn't given us a reason to be there anyway. So,
true.
Yeah.
Very true. All right. So, now that we have mentioned the trade possibility of Derrick Henry, that's a good segue to our next topic, DJ, of what players across the league do we think are marquee trade targets as the NFL trade deadline is coming up here in just a few weeks? I believe it's next week, right?
It's next week. Wait, what's this week? Is this week
usually like right at the end of October.
It's going to be after Monday night's game, or like Tuesday around 3.
Yeah. So it'll happen, right after this week will be the trade deadline. So we're going to see some big trades, I suspect, happen right around the deadline.
Are we?
I think so. I think that we're going to see a few teams that think that they are real contenders go after a few players. A few players that I think could be trade targets, as I posed the question, would be players that are on teams that aren't really contenders and don't really have a reason to stay. One that has been super put out into the media would be Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy is coming to close to the end of his first contract, and he is obviously on the Denver Broncos, and I don't think anyone, not even the Broncos, outside of their players and coaching staff, thinks that they're going to be doing anything postseason. They haven't shown any signs of life on the field. So they finally were able to barely scrape out a win against the Packers this past week. So I think Jerry Jeudy is a very quality receiver. So I think that he is a player that a team that feels that they could need some pass receiving help to move further in the playoffs could be reaching out to him. Another one could be Mike Evans for the Buccaneers. Although the Buccaneers have shown a little bit of more signs of life than the Broncos have. So I think if you're looking, those two have been kind of put out there in the media as two that if you're looking for a receiver, those two would be good options. One that hasn't really been put out in the media that I think would be a great option would be Hollywood Brown for the Arizona Cardinals. I haven't seen this rumor very much anywhere, but I think he's a fantastic receiver. I think he's really underrated. And I think that a team like maybe the Ravens, they're always needing better pass catchers.
I mean, that's where he came from before, so that could make sense.
Could go back there. So yeah, him or Jerry Jeudy or Mike Evans could go there. Another team that I think would really benefit from some pass receiving help that is a true contender would be the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think they're really getting much out of Gallup or Cooks that they really thought they were going to. And I think that they need a nice 2 to CeeDee Lamb's 1. So pairing him with a Jerry Jeudy or Hollywood Brown or Mike Evans could really maybe make the Cowboys feel like they're being pushed over the Super Bowl hump, that they could really get there with a few acquisitions like that near the deadline. And I really think that we're going to see a few of those types of trades, teams that don't really have any prospect of winning anything this year, that really just want draft capital for next season, and they're willing to give up players like that. So those are a few of the ones that come to the top of my mind. I think that let me ask you, DJ, who do you see as a potential team that could be trying to seek out a player, or a player that you think some teams could be, trying to hit up?
Well, for me, I honestly thought that Davante Adams, I know they came out and said that they're not trading him, but I think they should definitely reconsider, especially how they looked against the Bears this last week. Yeah. I can understand, from an organizational standpoint, especially
lost to a D2 quarterback on his first start. That's sad.
Yeah, it is. Like an organizational standpoint, if you're looking at it from a GM spot, I don't want to get rid of a great player like Davante Adams, who he is still a great player. But I mean, I don't see the Raiders doing much of anything, and they're playing the Lions, who are looking to bounce back after getting thrashed by the Ravens, who I called a pretender last week, and you did too. And then they came out and shut us up real quick. Doesn't mean they're still not pretenders.
They did. But I also called the Buffalo Bills pretenders, and they lost to the freaking Patriots. So. And
they're playing tonight against the Bucs, who I think this is going to be a harder game than people are going to anticipate, honestly, because I think the Bucs have a good defense. And just Baker, don't turn the ball over too much, and you're in this.
Sometimes that's a lot to ask from him.
It is, but you're in this ball game if you don't. Honestly, people that I haven't heard anything about getting shipped off at all that I think can kind of be fun. We talk about how unimportant, running back market's been kind of lowered on the paying people, but I mean, maybe someone goes after Saquon. Derrick Henry could go somewhere too. Like we talked about that. Yeah. I think Saquon could go to a contender and immediately help them get over the hump a little bit here too.
Yeah.
These are just people I'm getting off the top of my head. I don't think Mike Evans will go anywhere because the Buccaneers are still in that division. Like that division's not great, honestly. I mean, I'm looking at the standings right now, and yes, they just lost to a bad loss to the Falcons. I think the Buccaneers are much better than the Falcons. That's a bad loss in my opinion. But I mean, they're right there. The Falcons are in first place at 4-3. That's not an insurmountable deficit where I think you need to trade off. Mike Evans, who I think I know he isn't his contract coming up after the end of the year.
Mike Evans, yeah.
Yeah. So he's probably gonna be gone anyway. So I get the whole trade off what you can now.
Something for him.
But at the same time, I feel like whenever you do that, you pigeonhole yourself into taking something right then and there. And maybe he ends up coming back on a 1 year because people don't want him. I don't think that's the case. I think Mike Evans is very good.
If you're trading a player away, it's pretty much assumed that you're not going to get as much for them if their deal is about to run out because there's no safety net for the team trading for them that they're going to be they're going to re-sign with them. So they're not as willing to trade as much for a player that could just come for the second half of the season and then bounce off somewhere else, and they lose the draft capital for that. So that is also a downside to trading for a player that's deal is about to be up. But I guess the upside is the team is more willing to trade those type of players.
See, here's the thing also, if we're talking contenders, teams that, could use a receiver, I don't really see that. I'm looking at the standings right now, and I don't really see any of the big contenders or the people that are in a playoff spot right now that can, afford to get away a first pick or a couple first-round picks. Because I think that's what they would ask for Mike Evans. I mean, he's a walking 1,000 yards every year in his NFL career. Yeah. He is very good. If you don't know who Mike Evans is, which if you listen to this podcast, I'm shocked if you don't. But for me, I just don't see anybody that's willing to give up. Even Dallas, like you said, Dallas could use a under receiver. I think Dallas thinks they're fine with CD, Gallup and Cooks. I think they think they're fine. Philly definitely doesn't need it. Baltimore could use a receiver, but I don't think they're going to give up that much. Dolphins don't need it. They did. Yeah, they did. The Dolphins won't trade a first rounder because they already have one of the best receiving duos. They don't need another mouth.
The Lions sneakily could use.
The Lions could. I agree with that. I'm not even going to talk about the Falcons because it's a division rival, and I don't really feel like most NFL teams are going to trade with division rivals. The Niners probably don't really want to trade for Mike Evans because they have Ayuk and Debo, and I feel like they feel okay with that. So that's just rattling off some of the contenders. I mean, Cleveland could use them. I think Cleveland would love Mike Evans, but
I don't know. Cleveland needs to figure out their quarterback situation first.
That's true. I mean, Amari Cooper's still very good. I still feel like my boy Amari still slept on a little bit too much because of how he finished up his time in Dallas. So I mean, I don't blame him for that. It's not all his fault, but
yeah,
I don't know.
Shifting off of receiver a little bit, one of the key defensive players that I saw a few rumors about that because they weren't able to get a extension for him during the offseason was Brian Burns. Burns is a fantastic pass rusher, great defensive player. And if he was to be traded at the deadline, that would be a massive move. If he was to go to a team that was a contender, that would be a big power shift there because I think that he's a great player. I know you're a big fan of him, Tim.
I am, and I think he's a very good player as well. But for me, it's gonna have to be somewhere that they can actually afford to get him and re-sign him. Because why would you trade up so much draft allocation to get a guy on a 1 year loan, basically, or half a year loan, really? Right.
Yeah, and he's going to demand a big deal because
he's one of the better pass rushers in the NFL, and he's not going to stay. I don't think he's going to stay in Carolina because if he does, then he's willing to take more money to go and suck for a couple of years while Bryce kind of figures it out. And that Panthers team does not look good right now. They're not a good football team.
No, they do not.
And it's not even. I won't even blame it all on Bryce. I think it's just the entire team in general. It's just not. They don't. I honestly don't think Frank Wright's the answer there either. I kind of was questioning, why'd they get Frank right after he got fired? He kind of didn't work in Indy, so why give him an immediate better chance? But I mean, I like to try and look at the good in people sometimes too much. And I was like, he did have some success. Maybe he'll turn it around, but he didn't, and he hasn't so far. And for me, it's just one of those things where I think he's not the answer in Carolina. I don't know what is, but he's definitely not.
Yeah. Is this his first year?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It is. Yeah. So he won't get fired this year. They'll at least finish the season with him, I think.
I mean, maybe. Yeah, probably finish the season.
Very rare for coaches to get hired one off season and get fired before the next. So
I mean,
he'll at least get this season.
The Cardinals did it, the Texans did it, and then they just so happen to both be black head coaches, so that didn't look great either.
Yeah, the Jags, right, with Urban Meyer.
Yeah, but Urban Meyer deserved that.
Yeah, that is true. Did Hackett make it the whole year last year?
I don't know if he did.
I think he did.
But that's still 1 year, and he got fired. So, another example. Yeah. It happens more than you think. And it's just one of those things where it's just like, man, I feel like you didn't give them enough chance to really get their vision. Or maybe we don't get to see the behind the scenes. So, sometimes these head coaches really do lose the locker room that fast because they just don't like how, these are professional athletes. It's not like a college, where you can rah-rah everybody and they all have to listen to you. It's one of those things where you have to treat them like professional athletes. And some people don't know how to do that. Some people aren't good at being a head coach. Some people are just better coordinators. That's a reality.
It's true. He might be better served as a coordinator. All right. Any other trade rumors, trade targets, anything like that you wanted to mention, DJ?
No, not off the top of my head. You kind of covered everybody I was thinking about.
All righty. So we are moving right along to one of our newer segments, our most anticipated game of the weekend. DJ, I'll go ahead and go first on this one.
All right.
Give you a second to think of your most anticipated game of the weekend. For me,
I already have my two.
Oh, perfect. Oh, you got two. Nice.
Yeah, I do one college, one pro. You have a Saturday and Sunday.
Well, I just have a pro. So.
Well, here, let me go first. You go finish it. You find a college one.
All right.
For me, college, I feel like it's probably a cop out. There's two decently good games at the noon schedule or the 2:30 slot Central Time for college this week. For me, it's Oregon and Utah. Massive game in the Pac-12. Pretty much, who's going to be the other team that's facing Washington for that Pac-12 title and possibly getting a playoff bid? That's basically what this is. Both teams have looked shaky at parts in the season, and both teams have also looked good at parts in the season. So it's at Utah. It's a tough place to play. Can Oregon bounce back officially after a tough loss to a very good Washington team who also did not look great against Arizona State? Almost lost it if Arizona State didn't lose the football too much. I mean, they bounced back pretty well against Washington State. Washington State gave them a run for their money last week. So this is going to be a good game, I feel like. I like this game. It's going to be exciting. I'll be tuning in. And then for me, my NFL game, it's kind of a cop-out as well because I am a Titans fan. But this is the first time we get to see Will Levis on the football field in a real-time regular season game. Yeah. He was highly touted coming into the draft. Some people had him the first rounder. I thought he was always a second-round guy. It's just a decision-making for me. I get he has all the physical abilities, and it's never been about how he can throw it or how he can run. It's in the head. It's the IQ decision-making. So, what development has he, come up with? Has he improved in that aspect? And this is just this feels like one of these games where, for some reason, Vrabel's going to find out a way to win this game. The Falcons. This is not an easy game for a rookie to play their first game against because the Falcons do have a pretty good defense and it's very veteran heavy, which means they know all the tricks of the trade. And he's just going to get thrown out there and see what happens. It's exciting. As a Titans fan, like I said, it's exciting because it's new. And you want to see what happens. Now, I saw this thing on Twitter where it's like, or X, sorry. Freaking.
Formerly known as Twitter.
Yes. where someone was like, this Sunday could be the best day in Titans history where we find out that Will Levis is him, or it could be the worst day in history where we find out that Will Levis is a bum. So, so that's what I'm saying. Like that's the exciting part about having the Titans game for me this week. So
yeah, it's definitely an exciting time for Titans fans to see what they got in the draft. All right, so spur of the moment college game that I picked. I'm going USC versus California. Now, not because that this could potentially be a good game. I think USC should win it. They're favored by over 10 points. But this is Caleb Williams coming off of back-to-back losses. I want to see what you're made of. You have to come out here and you have to show me something. Show me that you are worthy of saying that you're the number one pick. And show me you're worthy of saying that you want a percentage of the team that drafts you, because that's bold. So you can't be losing back-to-back games in college and come out and say that. So USC versus California, Caleb Williams has got to show me something. That's my college game that I am pretty low-key excited to watch. And then NFL game, two teams that really aren't that good, but it's Texans versus the Panthers. You got the number 1 versus the number 2 pick, Bryce Young versus CJ Stroud. I'm really excited to see them face each other. Really want to see, did the Panthers make a mistake in taking Bryce Young over CJ Stroud? So far this season, it's starting to look like it maybe was. So I am definitely excited to watch that game. I think that the Panthers are a real shot to potentially win it.
That was on my list as well. The number 1 versus number 2. I was looking at that one too, but I had to get pushing the agenda.
Yep, exactly. They'll be wearing those jerseys. All right.
Also, screw you, JJ Watt. We're not giving back the Oilers jerseys. They're ours.
Yeah, comes with the franchise. They bought the franchise. He bought the jerseys.
Houston, you couldn't give them a new stadium or renovate the Astrodome. You lost the Oilers.
You buy a house and you don't get
I don't get to keep the bathroom if I leave the house.
Owner's like, I want to keep the floorboards. It's like, what?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. You can do that. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. My point. You said you said all the argument I need to say. Thank you. I appreciate that.
No, I'm definitely on the Titan side on that one. All right, moving on, DJ, to the most profitable segment in all of sports. The Feelings Over Facts Bets of the Week.
Indeed. Am I going first?
Yes, let's hear yours.
Okay, so I did 1 college and 2 pros.
Nice.
The 1 college one, it was one of my other, really good college matchups I really liked. It was Duke and Louisville. I have Duke plus 4.5. I think I don't know if Riley Leonard's playing or not. If he is, I think this is going to be a close game because Duke's defense is legit. I think they showed that against Florida State. Florida State was having some problems against them, and Florida State's got a very high octane offense. So that's impressive to me, and I think that this game they're at plus 4.5. So I took the spread on Duke plus 4.5. Then of course I went Titans plus 3 because not because I'm not saying like, oh, Will Levis is the guy, here he comes. This just feels like one of those moments where Vrabel's going to find a way for us to win somehow because no one else expects us to. We got rid of Byard. I feel like the morale of the fan base is low, very low, especially if you go on X and look. So this just feels like a Vrabel special. Also, plus, former coordinator playing against the former head coach he used to work for. First time Arthur Smith's been back in Nashville since leaving to go to Atlanta. And then I can't believe that the spread was on the spread was this way because Purdy's not playing and Debo's not playing. But I'm going Cincinnati plus 3.5. I couldn't believe it's plus odds after not having your starting quarterback and not having your best receiver. I get it; they still have McCaffrey, they still have Kittle, and that defense is still good. But it's Joey B, and they're coming off a bye, which means they have another week of healing and getting back to 100%. So I like the Bengals here.
Yeah, I like the Bengals on that spot as well. That one's a good pick. Not in mine, though. I did 3 NFL this week. I like your college pick, though. I think that's a good call.
Thank you.
First.
Your other ones are trash.
Yeah, other two suck.
You were terrible.
My first bet of the week, I've got the New England Patriots +9. I know what you're thinking.
Who are they
Zach,
playing?
you hate the Patriots.
Who are they playing?
The Patriots +9 versus the Dolphins. And this is not as much a bet for the Patriots as it is a fade of the Dolphins. The Dolphins are, I think this is a real week that they could be looking ahead. This is a true look ahead spot. They've got the Chiefs in Germany next week. So if there was ever a look ahead spot, it could be this, because the Dolphins want to beat the Chiefs, a potential AFC championship preview. And they could be looking past the Patriots here. I think that they are the much better team, but I think that they could underestimate them. And Patriots +9, I think, is a lot of points for Bill Belichick. So I got that as my first pick. Next pick is Seahawks versus Browns. I think that the Browns at the current moment are kind of like a hot mess. But if they didn't have such a defense, this team would be so bad. Like, I really don't know what's going on with Deshaun Watson. They keep saying that he's healthy and going to play, and then he doesn't, and then he doesn't play. He keeps telling the team that he's not ready and he's not going to play, and they keep clearing him. Last game he played 5 plays, got a concussion. They gave him concussion protocol and was like, he's cleared to go back in. He never came back in. So I really don't know what's going on with him. That deal with the Texans and Deshaun Watson is starting to look like an all-timer as far as bad contracts and trades go. So
that's what happens when your owner is Jimmy Haslam and he doesn't know how to run an organization in any sport.
Mike is saying in the chat, is this the first NFL game in Germany, or has there been some in the past?
There was one.
Is the first one.
Nope, it's not.
There was one.
The Bucks played the Seahawks last year in Munich.
Last year was the first one?
Yeah, they played them in Munich at Bayern Munich Stadium. This year they're playing in Frankfurt. I think there's 2 games this year. I was
going to say, this one's on. Yeah, I think there's multiple. Yeah. But This is like one of the best. This is one of the best overseas games that there's going to be, the Chiefs versus Dolphins.
Oh, it's the best one because the next one is the Colts and Patriots.
Yeah. So really giving Germany a good one here and then evening it out with a bad one. So, and Mike also said Bengals money line. So he's with you. He's with you on
Thanks,
that.
Mike.
So yeah, I think the Browns are just a hot mess right now. And I think the Seahawks are really finding their form. And I think that they are good to win this one, -4 Seahawks. Last pick is one that you're not going to like. Going against you, I've got Falcons -3. I always love a good fade of a rookie quarterback going against a good veteran defense, and that is exactly what we have in this game. So I've got Falcons -3. I do not know if Desmond Ridder as a non-conference road favorite is really the move, but I like that defense against Will Levis. So I think Falcons -3 is probably going to be hit. Not going to lie.
I like I don't know why, but I think our defense actually has a chance to be able to stop Ridder. But then again, the Titans like to make people that aren't good look amazing.
This is
a la Zach Wilson when we played the Jets like a couple years ago, and you had to pay, or Nick had to pay you like $80.
Yeah, I was like, there's no way, because it was like AJ Brown was out or something.
AJ Brown was out.
I was weirdly confident in the Jets.
We didn't have any of our receivers. AJ was out. Julio was out. Our best receiver was Josh Reynolds, and he played trash. Yeah. And then we cut him.
True.
So, and then
that is.
You go ahead.
I was gonna say, what were you saying?
I was gonna say, Fat Randy missed a game-winning field goal, and that's why.
Fat Randy, R.I.P. Titans legend. That is the most profitable segment in all of sports. Our feelings or facts bets of the week. Finally, we are to the. Oh, let me get my feeling of the week. I'll go ahead and go first since you went first on the bets. My feeling of the week is whenever we come in next week for our podcast, we will be leading the show talking about Derrick Henry being traded. I don't know. I'm not 100% certain where. but I do think he is going to be moved before the deadline. So when we come in next week, I think that's what we'll be discussing. That is my feeling of the week.
My feeling of the week is suck it, Vols. We own you again. Roll Tide.
I don't think. I mean, Vols. Okay, I was gonna say I don't think Vols fans ever thought that they were superior to Bama, but Vols fans are kind of naive. So maybe
tell them that. Tell them that in the first half because they looked pretty great. They looked like they're on cloud 9 in the first half, and we looked like trash. So I get it.
Yeah. Well, they turned it around. Milroe looked all right in the second half. So there we go. Those are our feelings of the week. Thank you for joining us once again for another episode of the Feelings Over Facts podcast. We'll see you next week. Have a wonderful weekend. Watch lots of football. Good morning and good night.
Tell somebody you love them.